Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, it's pretty late. It's 10:20. We're starting now, and we're just looking over. Somebody was asking us what we do, and it was quite difficult to say what we do. So I wrote down a list of what we do. So that's why we have this as an introduction to what we do, our mission to help. I kind of always talked about how our mission found us. So what exactly do we do? And let me ask you, if you look at this list and listen to it, what would you say we do? And we look at it as a mission to help. But actually looking there, we've raised money for the school, we've raised money for a church, for two churches actually. The one that we go to, Pastor Timio's church, we've raised money for there and got work done and got it finished. We've got a milk program that we give. That's something that we propose and we're trying to get off the ground, so we're trying to get that going. But we have got several kids that we take milk to. We've got Baby Jane's support. Well, Patch, one of our subscribers, supports vitamins and now some milk for Baby Jane and her siblings who obviously share the vitamins. We've got an education support program where we give kids it's a very small amount. It's just 400 pesos for a month, and we have no control over how that's used, but we hope that the parents will use that in order to be able to give their children something to eat that's other than just rice. So that's the education support program. We have a Sweet Dreams project, which is by the Sandman Steve. Sandman Steve, inspired by something that happened in his life, and got in touch with us and said, if I sent you the money, would you buy mattresses and give them out to people who otherwise might be sleeping on the floor? And that's what we do. Every so often he sends us some money, we go out and we buy mattresses, then we load them into the truck and we go around to the poorer neighborhoods, and we give mattresses away. So we have Blind Sarah's house, which we've just finished. That was house number 29, and we've just finished that. And now our challenge there with the blind girl Sarah is that we want to try to get her into school. Now we found a school. That's the good news. The bad news, or can I say it's a bad news? It's not bad news. It's just the next part of the challenge, and that is how to get her there. So we're looking at all kinds of options, even the idea of raising the money to get a good used motorcycle for the father so that he can take her to school. Now onto Sarah's house, we've actually tacked on to the house a small sari store, and we're hoping that will bring in, we haven't actually stocked it yet, but we're looking, as soon as we can get the funding on that, we will be stocking that with groceries to give them a start and generate some income for that family, which is a family of something like 10 or 11. And then we had that harrowing call yesterday, and we went to see, we were called to look at a child that needs help. I'm always a sucker for a child that needs help, and that was a heartbreaker, because when we went round, the child is just 3 months old and has a spinal deformity which can be corrected. Also had the encephalus head condition, where there is fluid into the skull which has to be drained off. The family actually did manage to raise the money. They went to they exhausted every source, but they did get that operation done where the fluid was drained, or is now draining, from the child's skull. It's a difficult thing to watch, to see a tiny little baby like that. Her name is Faith, and we're actually starting a Saving Faith, what can we call it, a fund, the Fund for Saving Faith, because we know that that condition doesn't have any good news in it, and it will eventually kill that child. So we're trying to save Faith. So we've finished the unfaithful husband's family's house, and we got them into a reasonable, nice house, and we take them food. People donate, and they ask us, and they something about what we do, some aspect of what we do touches someone, and they write to us and say, will you do this? And we do whatever you ask us to do. And of late, for the family of the husband, the unfaithful husband, we've been taking food. So underneath that, and in the same little community of the 3 little girls, there is Michael, the diabetic boy. We've had a disappointment with him just lately, but we'll hope to recover from that. He's just a young man. Was having a drink. We caught him in the act of doing everything that you can think of that is wrong, getting drunk, eating the wrong food, and everything. So he fell off the wagon. We normally go around there and take him insulin, and we do talk to him. People have said, well, he needs to be talked to, and he needs to be counselled and told. Well, you can tell people all day long, and if they don't realise the situation that they are in, and God knows we have tried to tell him exactly the situation that he's in, and he's got it. It was actually a little bit touching and pathetic, but he was drunk, and he said, I've just got problems, and I drank to help with my problems. Boy, as a professional musician working in a band and travelling all over the country, I saw enough of that. I saw the booze destroy a lot of lives. So it's not unusual, but I wasn't going to grace that condition with an attempt to interview the boy. So we left. Tag, that's another one of those things where you can only do so much. And what we have done for Tag, he is a boy of, well, a young man of 28. He is crippled, is almost immobile, is losing strength fast, and we've taken him to hospital, and we've got him blood transfusions. We've done what we can, and we've taken him home again, and now we're trying to make sure that he has food so that he doesn't end up going for days without food, or only rice and salt. Believe me, that's what he was existing on. We're trying our best to change that situation. Now, just across the hill, very close to him, is his family, which we have called the Crying Lady. A Crying Lady came to us, and she was crying. And they're living in a tiny house, little more than like a garden shed for people in the West, and they have a large family that's living in that, and it's a tough one. So they're on our housing list. Geraldine is what started off with us calling her the battered wife. We saw her with a black eye, and we looked into it a little bit further. She's from the same community as the 3 little girls, who we featured a lot. 3 little girls are in almost every video that we go to see, because they live in that neighborhood where we built so many houses, and recently sunk a new well because the well that everybody was using just collapsed, and it collapsed kind of imploded, and they were without fresh water and had to walk a long way. So kindness of our subscribers, we dug another well, and it's now doing great. So Geraldine is having, she is the Mazur's wife, and she is in the process of getting some treatment. She has fibroids to the uterus. She's had an ultrasound, and we're now waiting to get her to a doctor to interpret the ultrasound reading and the paper, the pictures, and find out what can be done and how we're going to help her. In with that same community, this is a problem. When we go around, we have no idea what will suddenly turn up. And while we were showing Kevin, our subscriber visitor from New Zealand, you might remember Kevin Jordan, with his company, which is called Pakiko, and he got in touch with me, started to communicate to me, indicated that he would like to come and visit, and everybody, any subscriber is welcome to come and visit. We welcome you with open arms, and if it's doable at the time, it's not doable right now for anyone to stay in the guest house because Nana is in hospital. We really need her here. So that's another thing. Nana will be another situation. Well, Geraldine will find out what's wrong there, and as I was saying, we never know what happened. We never know what will happen. We went there showing Kevin the well that we had dug. He was the one that contributed and donated the funds for buying a cement mixer. It's a big help. So we took him there, and while we were there, this lady came up and was talking to Beth and said to Beth that the child had fallen and done something. We looked at the child's arm, and sure enough, it looks like a broken arm. So along with another boy from the same community that had been bitten by a dog and needed rabies inoculation, we took them all to hospital. That's Geraldine. She helped a great deal by taking care of the child, seeing him through an x-ray, which we've got to find out tomorrow what happened about that, and we'll find out what happened with the rabies boy. And so that we have the blind man who we built a house for, and we take food around to him. Tita has kind of adopted him. He is her adopted grandfather, and she sends food and other stuff that she feels that he might need, some clothing and stuff like that. So we take what we're asked to take, and we take them there. And then there's a terrible man. He's not really a terrible man, but he was living in a terrible house. That's how he got the name. And we take food for him too. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at hospital. Well, the broken arm boy, hospital. The rabies dog bite boy, hospital. Nanai is in hospital. Lovely's the little girl that has been adopted by Mina in Cyprus, and Mina takes care of Lovely. She sends her clothes and food parcels, which we're asked to fulfill the box of food to a certain price, and then we go around and we take it round to the family that needs it, or the family that has been kind of adopted. And then there's, and as I say, that's Lovely's mother. Lovely's mother was in hospital and she needed treatment. We were there for her too. So the most recent emergency that we had was Pastor Timio's wife, on a visit to a neighbour, they slipped on the bike as they were coming down a steep hill, and it looked like a very, very bad situation. She was bleeding badly, and we were called out in the middle of the night, and we took them to hospital, to the emergency room, and we got the treatment that was needed there. So you can see that we have a pretty busy time looking at how long it's taken me just to read through that list, and it's not exactly as if I've been very wordy, because I've only given you the very basic of what we do. But that's an introduction to what we do. If you haven't been looking at any of our videos, there's videos on everything that I've said here. There's a video to it, or 2 or 10. And we just got back from Boracay, where we went to see my son get married. Very beautiful ceremony, and we had 4 days in Boracay. In spite of everything that's being said about Boracay, you would think that the sea was full of floating turds. It's not that bad, but it does need to have some control put in there, and that's what they're doing. But we had a lovely time, but we were glad to get back to our work, which is what we do. And this has been an introduction to what we do. Hope you've found some of it interesting. If ever you look at any of the videos and you want to help, then you can. And you can state what you want to have done and how you want to do it. And if it's at all feasible, we'll do it. So this has been a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks for watching this video and for listening to what we do.